It's really nice to see you, and I trust you're keeping cool in the European summer.
Yes, hi Rodney, good to see you. As you can see, I'm back in the office, so it's pretty cool here.
Nice.
And yeah, everything's going well. Thank you.
Good. Well, Christoph, as you know, we actually conduct an annual survey of the global network. And we ask partners and directors questions around quality, a sense of teamwork. Are we delivering on our promise of value to clients? And well, on our last survey just completed, participants noted that you were a great team member to work with on global teams. Just congratulations on that, Christoph.
Thank you very much. That's a great feedback. Nice to hear. And this is the kind of stuff that motivates me.
Nice. Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this, actually. But first, tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you based? What do you do, etc.?
Sure. So I'm working out of our Zurich office. I'm a partner here. I started my career with KPMG in 2006, so a long time ago. Before that, I worked in banking. I worked 5 years with UBS. And then in 2006, I switched to tax and basically did like the classic way from associate to manager. Mm-hmm. And then in 2010, I did my diploma as a tax advisor here in Switzerland, which was a big milestone, of course. And then 2012, I got the opportunity to work actually with our US firm. So I went on a rotation in 2012, worked out of our Silicon Valley office. And that's really, I guess, that was the first time I could experience the full, let's say, the potential and also how big our firm really is, working out of the US, working with like some legends in our network with Mark French and Rusty Thomas and Joe Murray, etc. And that was a good time, great time. I could learn a lot. And then 2013, my wife was pregnant with our first child, so we moved back end of 2013 to Switzerland. I think I was then promoted to director in 2016, and so last year I'm a partner. And since then I'm leading the Swiss M&A tax practice. So so far the journey has been great with KPMG, and I'm really looking forward what is still to come.
What a fascinating journey. That must have been really great doing the overseas rotation with the firm to the United States.
Yeah.
So Christoph, with that background, tell us a little bit about your philosophy, how you approach working on a global team, helping clients with their most complicated issues.
Yeah, I think there are like one or two things that all the global clients, they have basically in common, right? So I think it's important for us as advisor that you find a way, or you step out a little bit of your own jurisdiction, right? So typically you're very much an expert in your own, let's say, jurisdiction, your own tax law. But when you work with global clients, you need to have an awareness or at least an understanding of all the global topics. And not only the big ones, I would say, like Pillar 1, Pillar 2, or ATAD, or the US tax reform, but you also need to know a little bit how are other jurisdictions approaching things like transfer pricing, valuation, substance, etc. All these, or let's say these common topics that you can really provide value to the client. And as you say, that the issues are complex, but very often it's also a question about how you can reduce complexity and guide them through all these issues, right? So I think that's one thing. And then the other, of course, is really bringing in the multidisciplinary element, the full potential of our firm, the network, right? That's I would say a bit my philosophy, that I always try to show to the client that really the power of KPMG is the team, it's the network. It's always stronger and better than the individual. And if you can do that, then I think the client will really see what what value we can bring as KPMG compared to maybe a boutique or a smaller firm.
Really interesting, Christoph, in terms of philosophy. You're talking about, on the one hand, perhaps stepping a little outside your comfort zone, your own area of expertise, and understanding the broader picture. And then this concept of the team working together and bringing the entirety of the firm to bear to solve a problem that may be multidisciplinary. Really interesting philosophy. So, Christoph, if you had any tips, advice, perhaps words of wisdom for people who are either starting to work on global teams or maybe already are, what would that advice be?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a manual or let's say, a way how to best do it. But I would say there are a few things which I think are important, especially for managers. If you're still in the, let's say, early stages of your career, my experience is if you want to work on a global client or more in a global context, you really need to make people aware of it, that you want to go this way, that you have a plan. Because I think our firm is so big, there are so many opportunities. There is always a bit of a risk that you can get a bit lost, or you're not really going into the right direction. So my experience was, as soon as you speak up and tell people that you want to do this, there's always going to be a way to do it, right? And you should always be, if you can, a little bit selective on your client portfolio and what actually you're doing in your daily business. That would be one thing. And the other is, you absolutely have to be very, very good on the technical skill side. Because with global clients, it happens so many times that we have big conference calls, sessions, etc., and an issue is discussed, and all of a sudden somebody puts you on the spot, and you have to give an answer from your own jurisdiction's perspective, right? And you have to be very precise and clear in the advice you give. And I would say probably not so much an issue for somebody coming from the US or the UK, but for smaller member firms or smaller countries like Switzerland, it's also very important that you have to fully embrace English. You have to train it. You have to use every opportunity, I would say, to speak English. This is extremely important for me. I think that this is really not something that, is kind of a barrier for you. The whole language, right? So these would be like a little bit of tips from my side. But at the end of the day, I think it's not so much if you work for global clients or a domestic client. At the end of the day, you need to be good with the people, right? This is the most important thing I would say at the moment. You need to be aware that our managers, that the workload for them, it's just crazy. And we need to find a way to reduce a bit the workload for our managers and make it again more sustainable, especially for them. And I think for me as a partner, that's where we really have to be role models for our staff, right? We can always step down and do also manager work, but it's not really a sustainable way of working. But I think we're on a good track. And at the end of the day, for me, it's about giving the younger people also perspective, give them interesting work and keep them motivating. And that's what I always appreciated a lot about KPMG, the opportunities you have. You don't have to fake anything. You can be the real Rodney, the real Christoph at the table. That's really one of the biggest values I see that we have in our organization.
Well, Christoph, those are just great tips. I particularly like the first one, which be brave. That is, take control of your own destiny, let people know, and then have a focus on what you're doing to be successful. So it's just great pieces of advice and words of wisdom. So thank you for that. And, I just want to end with, again, congratulating you. Being called out on the global stage is clearly a huge compliment and a testament to the great work that you do. So what a pleasure talking to you about your philosophy today, Christoph. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you.